Hi, my name is Tim Wilson, and in this video I'm going to be showing you how I import information from a POS export. The POS company is Imagine, but I get an export from Imagine POS and I import it into a database that I have built for Bad Brad's Barbecue. This is going to be for both sales of products as well as employee clock in, clock out. Two different reports. Here you can see this is from this workbook called Store Master, these subfolders called Hours and Sales. Each of these routines that I'm going to show you will come through every file within these subfolders, open them up one by one, read only, extract data from them, and import them into our database for Bad Brads. You can have as many of these files as you want. An entire year, you click a button, you walk away, you come back a couple minutes later and you've got an entire year's worth of data. So this is an example of one of the CSVs that's going to be imported. This is sales, and this is an example of one of the clock in, clock out files that is going to be imported as well. So from the Store Master, if you were trying to import this, you would click on this processes drop down and click on hours or sales to kick off one of those routines. And those routines are right here, and I will go through them somewhat quickly. I'm not going to dwell on every single little element of the code because there are a lot of very specific requirements that the customer at Bad Brad's wanted. For example, when you're importing sales right here, this is from his POS. There's a lot of these parentheses 4, 5, 6, 8. Those correspond with ounces of meat, and the way that the POS is designed versus how the database is designed, you have to strip off those parentheses. Something like that I'm not going to go through. So anyway, some module variables, some routine variables. So here in this first little block, I am going through a record set that I get back from our database. Load for POS, it's a pre-import information that I need in order to do the import. And I comb through all of those record sets and I say, these are my recipes, these are my ingredients, this is my booze and my drafts and my wine. Cocktails come from here. And then this is in a record set. This is actually combing through a sheet in the workbook to say, how do I map previous draft names to current draft names? Very specific. All right, well, here's the bulk of the code where you loop through the directory to see all of the CSV files within that directory, open them up one by one, read only, and start extracting information. We got some trimming going on up here. We got some checking for whether or not it's in collection up here, cleaning up names, high-level sales totals, gift card totals. And then if these are relevant, if we found the name, then we want to snag the specific item information because we don't just want the entire sales for the day. We want item by item sales as well. What store, the date, what is the name of the item? So you have to say recipes, ingredients, booze, or cocktails to see from that preloaded information what exactly is it. The quantity, and here we're kind of determining whether or not the ending was stripped off, yes or no, and doing some fancy math with it. And then total sales. And then down here, we're actually creating another new row for a separate DOM document for another XML object that we're going to be passing to the database and loading up total food sales, retail sales, etc. And once we have finished that, potentially, we're going to be sending that to the database to be imported. If the length of the XML is longer than 190,000, I've discovered the hard way that if my phone was ringing, sorry about that. I've discovered the hard way that if the length of this is probably bigger than 200,000, it tends to error out. Therefore, it checks as it loops through every single file. Am I at over 200,000? Am I over 190,000? Over 190,000? If you're over 190,000, then go ahead and kick off sales import, reset the documents, and then move on to the next. Oh, here is archiving, and then this is archiving. Kill the file, move it to file, copy it. All right. So that is importing sales. I'm going to try to go quickly through importing hours as well. In the importing hours, we've also got some, before we get into actually importing, we need to go through some pre-import code to get ready to actually import this information. So these are combing through record sets, getting who is the manager at each of these stores, getting their scheduled in and out times, because part of this is if somebody clocks out over 10 minutes too late or 30 minutes too late, then we got to do something special with it. If they're over 30 minutes too early, we've got to do something special with it. If they forget to clock out, we have to do something special with it. So we have to load in their schedules and a list of the employees. So now here we start moving through the directory. Again, some trimming, getting specific years for purposes that come later on. Again, this is also, if you want to pause this and kind of like analyze the code, you're welcome to. Packaging, starting to load up the DOM document for that XML string. And then here we analyze whether or not, I was saying earlier, if somebody forget to clock out, because in the POS, if somebody forgets to clock out, it auto clocks them out at 3:50. So I say, did somebody clock out at 3:50 a.m., in which case I know that they forgot to clock out. I'll keep moving, determining whether or not they have OT. Email. So part of this is if somebody forgets to clock out, or if their clock in is more than 10 minutes before they were scheduled, I'm loading up a collection of who needs to be emailed, because at the end of all of this, if somebody's time is going to be auto changed, they need to get an email letting them know that, hey, your clock in, I know you clocked in 15 minutes early, but we changed it to 10 minutes early because it's in your contract that you're not allowed to show up for no reason 20 minutes early. Okay, so this is another XML object that I have for people that have clocked in too early, and then this is actually their clock in, clock out punch. More great code. Ooh, soak it in. Okay. All right, so then here, similar to when I was importing the sales, if the length of the XML is greater than, it looks like here I was having trouble over 90,000, I go ahead and send it to, if the length of either the back of house or front of house is greater than 90,000, I send it, because I'm sending those together. I say execute the command, which is a subroutine down here. Execute the command. There you go. All right, where were we? If the length is longer than 90,000, excellent. Go ahead and move it to the archive and loop to the next file in the directory. Update training shifts. This is, let's not even get into that. And if you're not in test mode, which I am currently in test mode, but if I were to execute this right now, it wouldn't go here. But so sending text messages, which in another video I explained how this is connected to a web API web service called Twilio, where I can send text messages. So everybody who had their time changed gets a text message, as well as managers get emails about the results of all of this importing. So, and then here I've got a debug.print to tell me how long all of that took. Okay, and that's kind of a tour through a little code. I hope all my talking didn't get in the way of you doing a code review, and if you have more questions, let me know, and I look forward to showing you some more code in the future. Thank you.